Alright, Internet, we're back. And it's time to rebuild the fuel system. Why? Because this little float ruined everything. Sort of. Not really.
Okay, guys, so I took the whole fuel pump apart, which there's the top hat, and here's the old pump. Here's the new pump, which is a lot bigger, and not as straightforward because I got a larger pump than Matt used on his video. I don't recommend doing it the way I did it. I recommend just getting the same pump Matt got. It's a lot easier. But since I got mine and I already opened it, so I can't return it, I had to modify the housing. And so basically I took my Dremel and I just like worked the whole, all this excess material off. And so now when I take the pump, I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. So before the pump was like stopping at that point, but now that we've got all that stuff worked out, it slides all the way, clears the bottom, so now we can put it back together. Gonna have to wire the connector on because the connector size is different. I think that's the main reason why I would not go with this pump again, is because it's already overkill to begin with. It's way more powerful than we really need it to be. I mean, the only upside is if you plan going turbo or supercharger. I mean, it's probably a good thing to have, but it does require me cutting the wires and crimping them, which clearly with the rest of the car I've done it, so that's not the issue. But it is inside the fuel tank, so it does make me a little nervous. Forums, people are like, it's fine, just use like the same crimps that I've been using, and they just said throw some heat shrink over it. So that's pretty much exactly how I was doing the rest of the car, so we're just gonna keep tracking that way. So anyways, gonna put this all back together and then we will drill the hole for the return line.
So, as you can see, got some fuel lines here, got a pump, got some filters, and what we're doing is we're going to modify the fuel system to be a return style. It was initially returnless, and the reason we're doing it is because the fuel gauge was not working. Not really a big deal if you're just trying to build a race car, but trying to have this as a daily driver, I know, sounds kind of sketchy, but that's the goal. And so you need a fuel gauge. You don't want to just, be on the side of the road without gas. It'd be a terrible situation. So here's the Coyote's fuel line, and it fit perfectly because they're both same chassis as 197s, and it was working. And I'm sitting on the 2011 to 2014 gas tank. It is slightly different than the 0529, and the main reason I had to use it was because the fuel pump and the way that this locking ring mounts to the gas tank is different than how it does on my car. So I have that fuel tank over there. We're gonna put that in. I got some new tank straps, so it'll be a minute till we do that. But anyways, so yesterday I spent my whole day making this, and what I did was took my existing fuel pump. I took the pump out of it, and initially I was thinking of just buying a whole new housing assembly, and I'm glad I didn't do that because this whole bottom half I had to like Dremel a lot of material away. So I'm glad that I did not spend more money on a housing I would need to modify, and then wired it up a little sketchy, but I double layered the wiring there, so I think we should be okay. And then I drilled a hole, and I drilled my finger in the right, conveniently that one, but I drilled my finger and a hole in here. If you're doing this, I highly recommend that you have a powerful drill. I was using an old drill that my dad had, and it wasn't getting the job done. And I actually went to the store, bought like stronger bits because I thought that's what the problem was. and then the battery on that drill died, and I ended up getting the Milwaukee field drill that we have. I should have started using that one to begin with, but oh well. Anyways, the moment I use that, drilled right through it. So make sure you have a good drill. Put this bulkhead connector on there. I have a 90 that'll go on top. This is exactly how Matt built his. Matt Scopa. Check out his videos. A lot more information than mine. And the only difference from his pump and mine is, I believe he went with like a 340 or 350 liters per hour pump. Mine is a 400, and I only did that because I thought they were the same physically, but I thought this pump would be slightly better. So I was like, oh, like spend the extra $30. Um, don't do that. Just get the slightly smaller, the 300 something liter per hour pump. That one is plug and play, like direct replacement. This one did require some modification, so to the housing just to make it fit. It was kind of a pain in the butt. That's what the pumps got. We got to tighten these up. I'm waiting for my AN wrenches to come in because I don't want to scratch up my nice aluminum bulkhead fittings. We got some nylon braided fuel lines. The description online said that they were there's a stainless steel layer underneath the nylon, but I'm starting to think it's just this like silver weave. I could be wrong. I haven't opened it to check. But anyways, I got these just because, like I said, I don't want this as a race car. I want it more like a daily driver. So if I ever end up somewhere where there's like snow or salt in the road, I felt the nylon would be a little bit better weather resistance wise than the stainless steel braid lines. And now you see these lines in front of me. These are the original lines, except for this. This is to the Coyote's fuel rail. Let's separate those out. So what I'm going to do, which is the same, this is the same as Matt did. I'm just going to put this fuel line back. And then here's the old fuel filter, which would plug in right there. But what we're going to use is the fuel filter out of a C5 Corvette, which I believe is like 99 to 04. And the reason is because this has a regulator built in it. So this is once again just the cheap, most economical solution for this. You can buy aftermarket fuel regulators, put them at the top by the fuel rail. They'll work great. They can support high horsepower, so definitely a great option. But for right now, this is the route I'm going. Um, and things could change in the future. Could do a totally different setup down the road. But right now, this is what we're doing. So this will plug in here, and then we will use our braided lines, make a return line to go back to the tank, which will plug in into our bulkhead. Once again, the only reason the zip tie's there is to make sure I don't forget to tighten that up once the wrench comes in. And then we have two options. We could get this braided line, connect it here, have it go up, connect to this to the fuel rail, or the other option is just have it go braided line straight to the fuel rail. I kind of like this idea better because, as you can see, there's some complex bends in here, which you can't really do with the steel or braided lines because they're flexible. So what I'm thinking of doing is I can order a fitting that will plug into here, which is obviously going to be the same size as the Coyote one, and this as well. I was thinking if I could get a fitting that would be like a double male side that I could plug in like this. Because if I could do that, I could use this line and have it go directly into here. But I'm not sure if that'll work because they're pretty close in size, but yeah, I don't know how much that'll mess up my dimensions and whatnot. So I haven't really figured out if that's how I'm gonna do it or not, but it is an option. I bought 10 feet of this braided line. If I'm only doing the return style, hopefully I only need like 5 feet. I was hoping I only needed 5 on each side because as you can see, this isn't very long. So um, there'll be that. I think 10 feet will be plenty. So anyways, that's what's been going on. And sorry I've been gone for a while. Haven't had any updates, but just had to figure out how I wanted to do everything.